Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in the big spinning ball called Earth. My name is Jade, and this is How to App on iOS. And we are at episode 3 of Behind the Song with Gary Hubbs, and today we are looking at his song, Heartbeat. Yeah, good morning, everybody. Good evening, good afternoon. I hope you're all doing really well. Thank you for joining us on the show. That, of course, was Heartbeat by Gary Hubbs, and what a killer track it is. Yeah. Hope you're all doing well. So this is Behind the Song. This is episode 3, and today's episode is brought to you by DistroKid. Yay to DistroKid. So thank you very much, DistroKid, for sponsoring today's show. Very excited to have DistroKid on board. It makes me happy. All right, so I thought I'd say a quick hello to the folks in the chat before we jump in and grab Gary and bring him onto the show. So hello to Metalhead Hippie there earlier, Globe Flicker, Joe Kiss Kiss. Who else? SM Borthwick is here. Kim, hello to you. Darren Daniluk. Who else? Russ is here. We have Gary's in the chat. Hello, Gary. Look, Gary's in the chat. Andy Goldsby, paying to get. Let's see. Who else have I missed as I scroll down quickly and efficiently? Doing my best. Let's see. You're all... Oh. Doctor's orders! Stu Cash is here as well. Tom Rochelle, Patrick Chandler, Cy effing good to see you. And Auntie G is here too. Hello to you. Danny Broderick, Langston Reese, Colin Powell. Anyone else I've missed as I scroll down? Sean Chandler is here too. We have did I say Patrick as well? I think so. Man, my memory's terrible. But that's me, you. But Bubba is here also. We're down to the bottom, I think. I think I've got everybody. If I've missed you, I'll catch you in the show. We'll come back to you guys. So welcome board. Thank you all. Rock Hard Music too is here as well. Thank you all for joining us. Leon too and the whole crew are here. Hello. So today what we do on this show is we take somebody's track, we open up the project and we find out how the hell did they make this track. And as I said, we are looking at Gary Hubbs's track today, Heartbeat. So let me bring up the correct screen. And you know what? Let's, without further ado, introduce all the way from Canada, the man, the myth, the legend, the beard, the bass. Yeah, welcome to the show, Gary Hubbs. How the hell are you today?
I am fantastic, Jade. How are you doing today?
Good. Thank you very much for asking. And look at the lush surroundings Gary is seated in today. Look at that. Isn't it wonderful? Beautiful.
It's a beautiful day. Gotta be outside.
I love it. Outdoor action at Gary's place. It is fantastic. So, let's talk about the song. So, how did you create this song? What was it on? Let's find out how the idea came from it. Firstly, what did you record this on?
I recorded this on my iPhone 6S and using my iRig 2, the interface that I just recently upgraded from. And yeah, it was part of Songtember. Mm-hmm. So I threw my hat in the ring for Songtember, and as soon as I did, I was worried that I wouldn't come up with something that fast. And sure enough, I ended up coming up with a song that I think is one of my favorites out of everything I've done. So I couldn't be happier to participate.
Definitely, that's why I think we combined chose this song, because you know it's definitely one that people resonate with. You know, whenever you come into the chat, we constantly see the line bass in the chat. Thanks to Andy. Is it Andy and Stu who do that?
It's Stu primarily.
Yeah. Well, look, and it's a phenomenal song that you've created using an iPhone 6S. I mean, yes, folks, one of these little phones that was created on. So if you don't know, folks, Songtember, and there it is. Is that the actual phone?
The one. This is the one.
That is the beast.
This is the one. I'm broadcasting on my iPad, which has replaced this as my recording studio. So things are great.
So how has that been? Like, you know, we were talking about this yesterday, like how I used to do this show and I'll do an app and say, all right, here's a new app, and you'd always be in the chat going, is it for iPhone? And I'd say, oh, it's for iPad, and you're like, oh. But how has it been upgrading from the small real estate to the iPad?
It's been fantastic. I mean, I was asking my phone to do so many things that I didn't have enough room to really work on music without bumping up against the storage wall and stuff like that. The iPad seems so much more robust. It kind of feels real, you know, the phone. I will still use the phone for capturing sound out in the field if I have to, but the iPad is definitely where it's at now. I'm getting used to The editing is all in the wrist, the elbow now. It used to be all in the wrist, just here to here, just little things. But now I'm moving around, and yeah, so we're working out a bit. Yeah.
Yeah, and I had the pleasure to do some mastering on one of your new songs on the weekend just gone by. Was that done on the iPad?
Yes, it was. Also with the new interfaces as well, the iRig Pro IO Duo, which has been fabulous as well.
Awesome. Well, let's jump in and have a look at this GarageBand project and see exactly what was done. Now, one of the reasons I do this show is not only to have amazing artists on to look at how they do it, but I think to remind people that you don't need the latest, greatest of everything. And processes, I mean, a lot of us think that, everything's perfect behind the scenes, and when you look at a lot of songs and break them down, you will always find my songs, Gary's songs, your own songs, imperfections. But when they're put into that whole mix, that's when that magic happens. So we'll bring up the iPad now, like magic. There it is, and here is your lovely project. And so let's have a look quickly at the amount of tracks that we've got. I haven't actually counted them, but it looks like here, we'll solo them one by one, and we'll go through each part. Let's open up with the first track that's on here, and I want to thank you, Metalhead Hippie, for the $5 super chat there, which wasn't for me. It says clearly for the beard, so I'm definitely gonna have to pay you for this after the show, Gary. The beard has won yet again. Hello to Joey Helpish, who's joined us also, and Pete Johns is here. So
it's Pete Johns.
It's Pete Johns. So let's open with the first track here, which is titled "Crickets." And let's mute
Crickets.
Crickets, and let's have a listen to what the Crickets entails. So I've soloed this, and what have we got here? Well, what do you know? So,
strangely enough,
give us the technical background behind the Cricket story.
Well, the Crickets. Okay, being part of Songtember, I wanted to go into it, and I said to myself, I'm not going to use any pre-existing riffs or any ideas. Everything's going to be from scratch, starting on September 1st. And as fate would have it, I was on vacation with my family, my wife and kids, and we were in a motel in a town called Penticton, which is about a 4-hour drive from where I'm at. It's on a lake. It's a really nice place. We go there every year. So seeing the calendar that I'm going to be out of town on September 1st, I packed up my Rode guitar and everything I need, my interface and stuff like that. And 12:01, September 1st, calendar rolled over. I went outside. I excused myself from the motel room, and went out into the parking lot of Corgo and started playing guitar. And the Crickets at night, just phenomenal there. So I was like, I'm going to just capture these crickets and bring them home. And they ended up being part of the song, and they fit better with my original lyrics that I had, but those lyrics sucked, so I scrapped them all. And but the crickets stayed; they remained.
And you've even put up the top of the track here. I can see it says Crickets and Penticton, so you've even labelled where those crickets are from. So those crickets, I hope, are getting royalty checks out of the how much?
Hope so.
the massive amount of money you're making from this song. Those crickets will be knocking on your door, man, saying, "You ain't my money, dude." All right, so let's have a look. What do we go for first? I reckon we'll go for the guitars, and we'll save the drums for a bit later, because the drums, there's been a little bit of your signature thing. So, because Pete Johns has done shows with you on how you do your drums, how you create such an amazing drum sound using, as you can see, folks, the stock standard GarageBand stuff here. So, and amazingly enough, too, I was really blown away when I opened up this project and was like, holy crap, you're using like all the GarageBand guitar sounds. So, let's bring these in. Have a look at them. So these are your first. So you've got 2 tracks here first. Let's bring these in, have a bit of a play with them. So And of course, both of these are split left and right.
Yes.
And for those of you playing at home, you'll notice, I'll just stop them for a minute. If I zoom in here, tell us about this automation, Gary, because it is all over this song.
Yes. With my riffs, the gaps, the negative space is, I find just as important. I tend to punctuate my riffs with a lot of spaces, and I'm too sloppy of a guitar player. My interface was too buzzy. I can't leave all that noise and stuff. So I go in and carve out all the spots where there shouldn't be any sound. And it looks like a lot of work, but you get pretty fast at it and stuff like that. I don't see it as a pain in the ass to do. It's worth its time. It makes everything tight at the end. So I do that on vocals, guitars, bass guitars, hardly ever on drums, but yeah, I do automation all the time.
Yeah, it's full on, and you're right. Like any process that you have with, anything, creating graphics or making music, it may seem like it's a lot of work, but the more you do it, you get those reflexes built in. Yeah.
Oh, for sure.
It's
yeah.
muscle memory. So, but it was one of the things that drew me to when I first saw one of your projects. I saw one of your video clips, the one where you have like the lyrics on the vocals. And was like, holy hell, man! Look at all that automation. Because most people will know with automation and GarageBand, depending on what type of device you have, the more automation that you put in can actually start crashing your device. So all right,
that's right here. Yeah.
Tell us about the frustration that would have caused for you.
Jeez. I don't know how much profanity we can put on the show here, but this thing is there's so many bodies of water that this thing should have been in by now. Yeah, just man, oh man. Well, part of the frustration I'll tell you about, the project that you see on the screen never existed like that on my phone. I would have gotten all the music done, mixed the way I liked it, and I would have exported that out as a wave and brought it into a brand new project. Yeah. To then record vocals onto, because I made the mistake, I think it was Parking Lots, where I started doing my vocal tracks in the same project I created the music, and it became a file that I could barely even open on my phone. So I learned my lesson from that and applied it to everything going forward. So I had to open up two files on the iPad and kind of combine them together so that you'd see everything in one tidy place. But yeah, I mean, I would save automation to the very end of my process, because it would just lock up my phone in such a horrible way. And thankfully the iPad's a little more forgiving, but it draws a lot of resources for sure, but it's the finishing touch that makes everything finished. So yeah,
definitely. And you need to find ways around these limitations to make it happen, which you clearly have done really well, So these are the two main guitar tracks that we're listening to right now, and it looks like we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I think 9 guitar tracks, and I'm just going to solo these two here underneath and see what's happening with these. So those parts are scattered all the way in between here. Let's jump to another bit. Man, I love the silences of listening to isolated tracks. It's so telling.
Yeah.
And it's so scary, man.
It is.
You feel really exposed. It's like being naked, yeah?
The guitars don't sound that great when you solo them. It's true.
So I'm just going to skip ahead. And you'll notice, folks, I keep hitting stop and moving the timeline, because if you want to avoid the dreaded optimizing performance, get into the habit of pressing stop and play, stop and play, stop and play. Anybody who's got an older device should know this, because it's just when you touch your timeline to the next point without hitting stop, that's when you get optimizing performance. It really does help doing that. Right, so we've got a swell in there. Let's isolate this. So this is... There we go, and look how simple that is. But put together, you'll hear a bit later how much of a massive effect that swell has leading into the solo, because I'm guessing that's where the solo is, in fact. Let's listen to that swell. So you've got your volume down on this track down here. We'll go a bit larger on the screen so people can see. There we go, we'll do that again. Listen to that swell coming in. Beautiful. Wow, all those parts, and we've got this little bit here, which is turned down. There's that little piece there. I love all these little bits that are like always left behind, remnants and stuff that we don't clean up. This is what makes it super
evolutionary.
interesting. Yeah. So as you can see, folks, Gary has used in this, and I've just opened up. So he's basically used the what is this? It's the what guitar is this? Well, I can't even find out which amp it is, because you've, as you said, you've dragged. So basically, you've recorded these and then you've dragged the files back in, yeah?
Well, no, not exactly. I went back to the original project. These are tone bridge guitars, and I record them using the inner app audio. So yeah, they're unchangeable, uneditable, but they're how I want them.
Do you remember what sound you
so they're not
for the tone bridge guitars?
Usually I use a Dimebag Daryl sound. Cowboys from Hell. It's killer. Absolutely killer.
How can you go wrong?
I wish I could play like Dimebag.
Yeah, I wish he was still alive as well.
Well, yeah.
That's a given.
But I mean, you heard that solo. You heard the solo isolated. I'm not Dimebag.
And just speaking of solos, like, it's interesting though to know your limitations and stuff. Like, I'm a crap guitar soloist myself. I can play great rhythm. And your latest song, you got Hetriani to play on it too, didn't you? Which is coming out.
I did. Yes.
Yeah.
Cat's out of the bag. Cat's out of the bag now.
Wow.
Yeah. No, but
exclusives.
Going forward, the solos will be a lot more interesting in my songs. Yeah.
So let's hear the solo.
If we continue to work together.
Let's hear the solo with the rhythm guitars now. We can go back a little bit there, and let's hit play. See, but now they sound, amazing.
A little better.
Right, so now I'm going to bring in the bass. With the bass here, so we've got a GarageBand amp here, and the second one, just to click on that, has Tone Bridge on it. So I'll open up Tone Bridge. What sound do we have on here? We've got Hand of Doom by Black Sabbath.
Oh yeah.
Again, man, how can you go wrong with a Black Sabbath bass tone? Let's solo.
Geezer Butler.
Yeah. Let's solo the bass. And again, like with every track, even the vocals here, you can see the bass here, everybody. So again, it has the automation all the way through it, because you can see the volume going up and down all the way through it. If you watch when I bring in the bass here. See, even there, look at that volume. Every note, it goes back down to 0. So we've got 2 bass sounds here. We've got this murky GarageBand one, which is like a DI kind of sound, and then you've got this distorted bass coming in here, which has here's some of the EQ on it, and with this one, completely different EQ pattern there. So if you're wondering about EQ, folks, this is how you do EQ. So if you got 2 bass tracks like this, you want to balance out the EQ with so the patterns balance out each other, you know. So you can see with this top one, we've got the middle that's been pulled out of it, and with the second one, we've got more of a flat tone there. Let's bring it in with the guitars. Scoop those mids, as Andy says. Set up by Marshall has asked, what door is this? It is GarageBand on iOS. This is what Gary used on his iPhone 6S. And amazingly enough, the 6S is still incredibly capable enough, kind of, to do stuff. All right, let's jump.
Oh, I fried the battery.
Yeah, that's the problem with them. The batteries do fry very fast. I've had 3 replacement batteries in mine, and it's dead again. So let's jump over to the drums, shall we? Because I like doing the vocals last, because they're the part that every artist always cringes over the most. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 tracks of drums, and we'll make this a bit bigger for you. And let's start off with this top one here. So this is called Well, Isn't This Swell? So Gary has some really cool names for all of his tracks as well. And in the chat, can you guess what you think this is going to be? I think it stands out like dog's balls. But let's play it and see what it is. Damn straight. We got some reverse cymbal swells littered all the way throughout the song here. And we'll show you another one. And Gary, why do you add reverse cymbal swells into your songs?
I guess it kind of would emulate the drummer doing the roll on the cymbals that comes in. I don't think GB. I think it would sound really fake the other way. I use the swell. In every song after Heartbeat going forward, I use a swell and everything. It seems to really bring in the announcement of something happening, I guess, in a way. You know, it's a prelude of sorts. And I find it really effective in my stuff. That and the guitar swells coming in together, they just they create a really good sound for me.
Totally. And for people who haven't used a reverse cymbal swell or even like a keyboard swell, as Gary just said, it's a really fantastic way to transition stuff. And, you know, you'll find if there's something lacking in a part, a reverse swell of, you know, virtually anything, a keyboard, cymbal swell, this can really just make your song absolutely pop in between, especially for choruses. So as Darren Dunaluk has written in the chat, foreshadowing of metal with those cymbal swells. It's what it is, you know. It's a beautiful transition and a foreshadowing of what's to come. I mean, it's what putting together a song is all about. It's like painting a picture. Right.
I see that Stu has mentioned that they've got a swell on "Let Me In," and that's true. That actually gave me the. I think it's possible. It sounded better than I thought it was going to sound in "Let Me In" by the Indigo Sunset. So it gave me faith that going forward, maybe that's an option as well. actually using cymbal hits, gaining in velocity. So
velocity. There's so many. Look, the thing is, and I saw somebody, Mark Lovell, so welcome to the show. Mark has written, I was so impressed that people can do stuff on the iPhone. The screen is too small and frustrating for me. But, and look, and GarageBand, for all of its, amazing stuff that it does have a lot of limitations. So you've really got to think outside the box to, create as close to... what do you think about this, Gary? Do you think there's a lot of black magic a bit of voodoo involved to really kind of create the imitation of what studios can do? So it's like what you're doing with the swells here with the cymbals.
Oh, for sure there is. And out of the box thinking, combining processes or using processes in unintended ways. Anything you can do to fool the audience.
Totally.
If that makes sense.
Yeah, well, that's what it's all about in the studio, like it or not. So before we jump into the drums here, we are at the halfway point of the show. So thank you all for hanging out with us today. I'm now going to mention our sponsor for today, and then we will jump straight back into the chat. And today's sponsor, and I'm very thankful that they are on board, is the wonderful people at DistroKid, who I have been using for the longest time. I have, and I know Gary uses DistroKid as well. I've been using DistroKid for now 3 years and have an absolute crap load of music out on the platform. Why do I use DistroKid? I use DistroKid firstly because it's cheap, secondly because it's really easy, and thirdly because they're really fast at getting my stuff out, and all the other stuff on top is a super bonus with adding lyrics to songs and things like that. So DistroKid come with 3 different plans, and look, it's easy to join if you're thinking about releasing music. It only costs you $20 a year, and you get unlimited songs to release. So you've got unlimited amount of lyrics you can add to your songs. You can split your royalties between another artist who you may collaborate with who has a DistroKid account, and you get an artist or a band name. And for $20, I mean, you totally can't go wrong. There are 2 other plans that are available through DistroKid. A Musicians Plus plan, which for $35.99 you get 2 artist band names, and you get unlimited songs. You get a Spotify verification tick, a little check mark, which makes things really good. You get daily sales stats, custom label names if you want to create a label. So if you really want to take it to the next level and maybe have a couple of projects, the Musician Plus. I myself use the label account at $79.99 a year, which I get 5 artists, because I have 5 artists. And look, as you can see here, so that's the pricing plans. Now, I have a link up here, distrokid.com VIP/Jade Starr. You get 7% off if you sign up using my link. And I'll just show you before I ask Gary about his DistroKid experience. As you can see here, I will zoom in. I'll just take Gary off the screen for a second there. So these are all of the albums I have released. So these are across 5 different bands. So DreadCircus, Metheist, Utensils, FMC, and Despise. So I have 5 different bands, and for $79 a year, I can... It's amazing just to release all that stuff and have all these bands all across all the streaming services like Apple and all that stuff, and even Snapchat now. So that's really cool. And if you're not using DistroKid, what's wrong with you? You're crazy? Use it. Use them. They're awesome. What do you use DistroKid, Gary?
I use DistroKid because when it became time to release music, I was trying to get a feel of different platforms, and people that I trust spoke very highly of DistroKid. And so I went with them, and I've released 4 singles and an EP, and they've been great every time. I picked the plan where I get to pick my own release dates, and they've showed up when I want to, and I've got no complaints. They've been great.
Thanks, DistroKid, for sponsoring the show, folks. My link's up the top. If you've been holding off and you got some music, now's the time, man. there's no better time to release music than right now. As we always say on our interview show, there just isn't. So get it done, get it out there, release it to the world, and be done with it. Thank you, Tom Rochelle, for posting the link in the chat. Let's get back and have a look. And once again, thank you, DistroKid, for sponsoring my show and having faith in my silly little show where I talk crap about apps each day and get to hang with cool people like Gary Hubs. So here is your project. And let's have a look at these drums, because your drums are crazy, man. And I'm going to start with this drum kit. It's a hashtag Songtember. Now, what's really interesting about this, when we opened this up yesterday and we had a chat, I noticed there's an effect on here called Soloist FX. And we couldn't get it to work. But and so I had to reinstall the project. And now that I went to all that hassle, you're not even using it on here. Do you even remember putting that on?
I don't, and it's bizarre because I would never use that effect on a drum kit, so I don't even know why it's there.
I'm curious now to like turn it on once we have a listen to the drums and see what the hell it does.
It can't be good.
It can't be good. You want to let's do it now. Let's have a look. So here it is. Let's have just a play of this drum track, because let's have a play of it and listen to these drums, and then we'll see what's going on. So clearly this is the opening of the song. Man, that's a great drum roll. Let's add this vocal soloist and see what it does to it. It didn't do anything. Didn't even make a difference. So it must be turned to set to 0.
No.
So for those playing at home, what I love about this is you have programmed all of these drums. So you can actually go in here and we can open up. And this has all been done by MIDI. So now, are you doing this using your fingers on the actual drum kit, or are you programming this all in?
Probably a little bit of both. I'd probably hack out a beat with the drum set, but that's only to put notes on the screen. Really, I'm going to go into the editor and drag them where I want them to be, do the velocity to them all so that so the rolls sound right and stuff like that. But it's not a performance on the drum kit. No, it's definitely construction on the piano roll, I would say.
Yeah, and look, I do that too. I have an electronic drum kit myself, and I will play on the kit, and it'll record all the MIDI in, and then I'll go in and tighten everything up if I do a sloppy performance. That's a beautiful thing about MIDI or tapping on the screen. So, I've done shows on this before, folks. If you're using the Auto Drummer and you want to, step it up a bit, try playing on the kit, because it's not that hard and you can fix it afterwards. Man, you got some great tom rolls in there. It's great. You
copy and paste. Copy and paste and drag and...
Yeah, copy and paste is your friend. So let's add in... What else do we have here? So I'm going to bring in the swell, and it looks like you've got... These are chokes. So let's talk about these chokes.
Sure.
So there's one of them. There's your chokes. So what's the story with these chokes you've made?
Well, they're not available in iOS, so I had to go out and find a sample. And strangely enough, years ago, I used to work on GarageBand on the Mac before there was iPhones, actually, and they didn't have a choke symbol either. So went and Googled up a sample and put it in my library, and I've been using the same choke symbol for my whole recording career. It works. You can't, you can't have metal without a choke symbol. So not at least my kind of metal anyway. So
yeah, like any metal band, it's one of the hardest things with GarageBand. Like, you can do so much with metal and GarageBand, but the lack of a choke is just heartbreaking. I know in one of my shows, if you want to go back, folks, I've done, if you look up for my playlist of drums playlists, in a few of them, I have a sample pack of, I think it's a gigabyte of drum samples. So if any of you want to go back, it's a full gig of, and there's chokes, there's, you know, just so many snares and everything you can think of, and snares from like Pantera and Meshuggah and a whole bunch of stuff like that. So you can go back and grab any of those if you're especially if you're a metal artist and you're looking for chokes and stuff. That's still available free on a couple of my videos. So just look for the drums playlist. Right. So we've got these chokes in here. We've got these swells going on, and now you've added in here extra kicks and an extra snare. So let's just solo those for a second. And tell us about your method here, and I'll open up your EQ and distortion. You can tell us your story behind how you create these sounds. Sure. I found I couldn't EQ the kit to a satisfactory place for myself to get a really good sound on both the kick and the snare. So learned the trick, picked up the trick to separate the drums and put them in their own tracks. And then I was able to get the sound I wanted on both the kick and the snare. I keep the original drum set there because I blend them together to get the sound I want. If I didn't have the original kick there, or the original kit there, then the snare and the kick might sound funny by themselves, but blended back with the original kit, it gives me a sound that I'm really happy with in the end. So yeah, and you add distortion to the snare, don't you?
Yeah, and that's something that I saw in one of the Facebook groups. Someone mentioned a little bit of distortion on the snare, and this is before I made my first song, and which was Elbow Grease. And once I tried that, I clicked it on. I was like, oh man, it just snaps. I love it. It cuts through the mix, and it just adds so much punch to the snare. So you'd think distortion would destroy it, but it's just a teeny amount really that just kicks it up a bit.
Yeah, definitely. Distortion, I mean, a lot of people get scared to use distortion and stuff like that. But you got to look at distortion, folks, as like something dirty. It's like, you know, and you can do it with an overall mix of a song or just individual parts. It's just like taking a clean t-shirt and just rubbing it in the dirt a bit just to give it that edginess, you know, just to make it look like it's been lived in or worn for a little bit, and it just gives it that grit. You also use a lot of EQ in here. So just looking at this snare,
yes,
you mess around with the EQ. So what I'm going to do, just to show people, is turn off the distortion and the visual EQ, and we'll listen to this snare by itself. So there's the snare that you get off just basically from the GarageBand snare sound. And just listen how much. And I think the cops are coming to get you, Gary. They've found out.
Oh, you can hear that.
They've found you out, man. Yeah, quick. Hide, man. Hide. They found out your snare technique. And they're coming to take you away. So listen to this, folks. I'm going to play it. I'm going to play the snare, and then we'll bring in this distortion. And you listen to how much it cracks compared to the drab GarageBand snare. So immediately, it's so lifeless, you know. And then as soon as you bang, and then you bring in so the other drums that he has underneath, and all of a sudden your snare is absolutely popping out. So don't be afraid to double things up, folks, like this. If I pull out this snare now, God, listen to how freaking bleak that is.
That's not my snare.
Yeah,
no.
It's just, and then we bring that snare back in, bang, and that's going to cut right through your mix, which it does beautifully. So let's have a look at this kick drum, and then we'll go over to your vocals. So, oh man, they've got the whole force now, folks. Gary, hide, man. Hi, dude. They're coming.
I'm gonna mute my mic here. This is crazy.
I love it. This is the unpredictability of my show. Always. We talked about this yesterday, man. It's always something. I love it.
That must be a good running joke for sure.
Dude, they're coming to get you. Gary's heartbeat is pumping out of his chest right now as the cops are coming. So this is the kick drum, and again, so you've got no distortion on this, but you've got, I would expect. Look at this crazy EQ he's got going on here.
Yeah.
Right. This is an EQ from hell.
That's the skeletons in the closet there. Yeah, it's my dirty laundry right there.
But this is the thing, folks. Like, you got to be, and with GarageBand, because of the limitations, you just got to be experimental and think outside the box to get that sound. So if we pull out this visual EQ, listen to that. My God, it's the most lifeless, sad, limp fish kick drum you've ever heard in your life. And bang, just with this crazy
no
EQ,
effort.
Snap. Yeah, and let's bring in that snare. Bang. You've got that clicky kick happening. You know, that's going to cut through the most brutal distortion. And then let's bring all the drum kit in, everything together. And that is a drum kit from hell. So also, if you haven't seen the special, beautiful. That swell just brings everything together. It's fantastic. So if you haven't seen the episode that Pete Johns did on how to get these sounds that Gary Hubbs does, go to Pete Johns' channel, search Pete Johns and Gary Hubbs together, and you'll get the whole breakdown of the cheat sheet that Gary provided for these drums. All right, Gary, it's the moment that everyone dreads on the show.
Bring it on.
Man, I'm going to do my own one of these soon, and I'm going to expose myself, so it's not only all you guys that I'm torturing and doing this to. I'm going to do it to myself soon. We're going to look at vocals, folks, and let's just quickly, we'll pull out this here. So as you can see, Gary has, even with these vocals, gone ahead. We'll just open the automation, and look, the automation is running all the way through these vocals as well. That is incredible. Is this something you still do with vocals on later recordings?
I find with vocals, the new interface I got gives me a lot cleaner of a signal, and it's not as necessary. Yep. I don't think I even did automation on my vocals on my last track that's coming out soon at all, to tell you the truth. Again, I was using an interface that wasn't designed for microphones, so for me to get any sound out of it, I had to really crank it up, which brought up all sorts of noise and interference and stuff like that. So I kind of had to clean it up afterwards using the automation. So I might be past that point now in my process. I might be able to get by without it, but yeah, it was just something I had to do before.
Yep, you got to do what you got to do to get through. So with these vocals, we have, and you know, it looks like a lot of vocal tracks, folks, okay? But it's actually not. So basically there's two vocal tracks that are four vocal tracks, which are the main vocal tracks. You've got two lead vocal tracks. So you've got a doubled up vocal, which is these two here. And then you've got two backings, and then all the rest from here down, all of these are all the la la las, yeah?
That's it.
So let's start with the la la las. Because this is one of the interesting things I found about this song, which really got me really interested in, even more interested in your music, was the bold step of you like adding in a chorus. La 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 la. It's something that you don't expect from a metal song. I think that's, you know what I say, Gary. I love danger, and there's just not enough danger in music these days. So something like this is absolutely dangerous as hell. I love it. So let's have a listen to these. We'll start off with one, and then we'll add them all in.
Oh, but watch the automation there. That one's not turned on.
All right.
Later in the song, they'll. Yeah.
All right. So they come in here. All right. Let me see the automation. All right. These ones aren't on. Just let me open up the automation.
No.
Oh God, what am I doing? I can't even work out how to use GarageBand. So they come in at the end. So you didn't. Right. I remember the early mix of this. Yeah, they were in the early part, and then you removed them.
And I felt I went to the well too many times with the la la la's, and that's how I knew I sent you the wrong. That's how I knew I sent you the wrong file a couple of weeks ago, is because the la la la's came in. I was like, oh, that's not the right file. I sent you a previous version. Yeah.
I remember that too, and I don't know if I'd said anything to you, because look, folks, me and Gary are good friends, so like I get the privilege of him sending me tracks before they're kind of done and stuff. And I remember when I did first hear this, I did think that the la la la's were, in the beginning, didn't need to be there. They're definitely an ending kind of thing. And I've just let the playhead go.
Yeah.
So now they're just naturally going to come up while we've been talking. So here we go. A bit of la la la. Bit of la la la. And I'll bring them all in.
La 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 la.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah. All right, let's hear that again. And I'll add them in a little bit more. So we've got more. So we got like almost like a Fozzie Bear one in there as well. La la! Listen to that. We got a lower one. Let's have a listen to the next one. I love it, man.
I said I wasn't going to be embarrassed, but I am. Yeah.
But this is the process, man.
Oh, jeez. Yeah. Oh, fuck.
I think there's even two more here. Man, it sounds like a Muppets choir. I love it.
Yeah, it does.
Here we go. Wow, how big does that sound? I'm going to skip ahead. Hang on, what are these here? So we've got these other bits here. I just want to hear what these are. Beautiful.
Oh, shit.
All right, let's have a listen at the end here. And then we'll bring in the main vocals as well.
Overthrowing!
Oh, man.
La 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 la. La 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 la.
All right, so that's where you fade out there. And that's a really abrupt cut, but in the mix... like,
Overthrowing!
I've never noticed that they cut out like that.
They make room for the last line. Yeah.
Yeah. See how they just drop out? Now, to most people, you'd think, what? That doesn't work? But I'm sure once we hear these main vocals, you're going to hear exactly how that works. And let's just skip to that now. We'll bring in these main vocals.
Systems have been overturned. Let me tell you what we've learned. Play with fire, you get burned. Can't escape the course we've set. Mass extinction, growing threat. Haven't got a safety net. Overthrowing. When there's not enough to eat, blood will stain the streets. And when their heads roll past my feet, I will feel my heartbeat. Oh, heartbeat. Oh, heartbeat. Oh, heartbeat.
Oh!
Oh, heartbeat.
Man, that ooh would be a Celtic Frost wet dream right there. Ooh! Let's go back and listen to the vocals at the start here. And And you can see what Gary's doing there is pulling out those breaths, and because you can hear bleed in the cymbal, in the headphones, that's going out as well. And the thing is, like, I see people all the time on Pete's show, I see it on GarageBand Users group, people trying to eliminate the bleed of their headphones as much as they can, like going, oh, there's this sound here. Stop stressing, folks, about that kind of shit. You're not going to hear it in there. Like, every recording, if you go back to like the old days, back on tape and stuff, that stuff's in there. Like, I've got a recording of Kurt Cobain singing Rape Me or whatever, and you can hear noise in the background. Someone kicks over a snare in the background. It's like, and it's been left on the masters. So, you know, as you get on, you kind of don't need to do that and stress that much. So let's have a listen to these vocals.
Beneath a shapeless sky, there's no horizon line. Tell me it will all be fine. A sickly, smoggy haze, trapped inside a shrinking cage. Haven't seen the sun in days. Cracks are showing. Can I breathe this toxic air blowing through my hair? The 1% just couldn't care. Can you feel your heartbeat?
And that little subtle you had in there too. Beautiful. I want to hear that just with the whole song for a second, because I didn't even notice that before. Let's have a listen.
The 1% just couldn't care. Can you feel your heartbeat? Oh.
And now that you've had this exposed, trust me, you're going to hear that. You're going to hear that every time, folks.
Yeah.
All right. Let's now, I guess, what we can do now is I'm going to bring in the whole song piece by piece and hear it all come together. So we'll kick off with the crickets. We'll go to the top, and then let's do this. And I'm going to bring in the drums and bass, and then the guitars, and then we'll bring in the vocals, and let's hear it all happen. Before I do that, there's one more thing I wanted to touch on. Sorry. Let's do this. So with your vocals, your main vocals here, it looks like you've used pretty much the standard stuff in here, yeah? Tell us about that, because I'm just looking at the plugins and EQ. It looks like you're just using one of the basic sounds. What is it?
I'm trying to remember exactly what I used in there.
So you've taken out the, what's that track that they always add for no reason? So, it's over here.
Yeah, like track effects.
It's this one here, yeah, and I don't know why they put it there. It's normally sitting right there. I'm circling, but yeah.
Yeah.
So you've got no pitch control or anything on the tongue. Look, it's a pretty basic vocal sound. That's, you know, a little bit of hall, a little bit of drive, and you want to put a bit of drive. What's your opinion on putting a bit of distortion or drive on vocals?
It just really helps add some presence to it, I find.
Yeah.
You know, once you add a little bit on it, it kind of like it just pops out 5 or 10% more, it seems. So I definitely like to have that on there.
Yeah. All right. So, and you've got double track here of vocals. I'm just going to flick between these. Did you just copy paste, or they're two separate? They look like they're two separate takes.
Yeah, they're two separate takes, and I think I went for kind of a basic approach with the effects, because I had two identical tracks, but two takes to pan out. That if I just had one take, then I would have used a doubler or something like that, or some delay. But because I had the two tracks, I probably figured, well, they're doing most of the work. I don't have to rely on the effects to do all the work on this one. So
I'll just play.
I'm trying to think. That's
played both of them.
Beneath a shapeless sky, there's no horizon line. Tell me it will all be fine. A sickly, smoggy haze, trapped inside a shrinking cage. Haven't seen the sun in days. Can I breathe this toxic air blowing through my hair? The 1% just couldn't care. Can you feel your heartbeat?
Cool. So there's a little look at the vocals, and let's go ahead and do what I was going to do before, and we'll start off with the crickets at the start. Let's just pull all this out here. We'll just get this screen up, and we'll bring everything in piece by piece so you can hear exactly what is happening.
the smell of smoke burning in that burning coast. Air is what I miss the most. Glaciers are melting fast. Cloudy water in my glass. Global warming kicks your ass. Cracks are growing. Can I drink the acid rain? Pumping through my veins. We're dying as they sip champagne. Do you feel your heartbeat? Oh, heartbeat. Oh, heartbeat. Oh, heartbeat. Bass. Systems have been overturned. Let me tell you what we've learned. Play with fire, you get burned. Can't escape the course we've set. Mass extinction, growing threat. Haven't got a safety net. Overthrowing. When there's not enough to eat, blood will stay the street. And when their heads roll past my feet, I will feel my heartbeat. Oh, heartbeat. Oh! Oh! Heartbeat! Oh! Heartbeat!
And there's Gary's. Are they the original lyrics that you wrote, Gary?
That is, yeah. That's the sheet of lyrics I'm reading off of in the video for the song.
Awesome.
Doing the vocal tracks. Yeah.
Nostalgia for you there.
There's the word bass is not on here anywhere. Neither is la la la. So all that was like on the fly, kind of. What am I going to do to fill out the song?
Lovely stuff. All right. Well, that is Behind the Song episode 3 for today. So I want to thank you very much for firstly sharing your project with me and sharing your project with everybody here, and dealing with the whole soloing vocals, because it's a hard thing to do, but I think anybody who does it in front of somebody publicly makes them a much better musician because you can take anything, can't you, once you do that? It's like,
you gotta have a thick skin.
yeah, you gotta. Yeah.
Right.
So,
yeah.
I want to thank you very much for coming on. I also want to, before we go, thank the lovely people at DistroKid who have sponsored today's show. Thank you so much, guys, for having faith in me and this show, for getting involved. Folks, as I said, in the middle of the show, at the beginning of the show, there's a link up the top. If you are not using DistroKid yet, well, get doing it, man, and release some songs, because it's cheap as chips. It's $20 a year for unlimited songs, and they are awesome. So thank you very much, DistroKid. I hope you all had a great time today, folks. Thank you very much for joining us. We're probably going to go out just with the video clip again. So, any passing thoughts, any final goodbyes you would like to say, Gary?
Thanks everyone for showing up. I've had one eye on the chat, and it's great to see everyone come out and all the support. And yeah, it's been fantastic. I got an idea. I got to write something down. Hold on. Bass. There it is. That's all I got.
Bass, motherfucker! Yeah, so I did say, if you click the link in my show notes for DistroKid, you get 7% off. Thanks for reminding me, Tom Rochelle, in the chat. Alrighty, folks, thank you so much. Remember, bass. In fact, bass!
Love it.
Have a good day, everybody. Thanks for joining us. Thank you, Gary, for coming on. And let's go out with your track one more time. This is the song. See you later.
Overturned. Let me tell you what we've learned. Play with fire, you get burned. Can't escape the course we've set. Mass extinction, growing threat. Haven't got a safety net. Overthrowing. When there's not enough to eat, blood will stay the street. And when their heads will pass my feet, I will feel my heartbeat. Oh, heartbeat. Oh, heartbeat! Oh, heartbeat! Oh, heartbeat!
Thanks, everybody. Hey, for anybody who's on Clubhouse, I'm going to ask Gary if he'd want to come on to Clubhouse and maybe answer some questions. I've set up a Clubhouse show. Is that cool, Gary? Is that something that you would do? I can bring you into... Yeah?
Absolutely.
Awesome. So,
I'll be there.
If you're on Clubhouse, I'm going to open the Clubhouse in a few minutes' time. So come and join us on Clubhouse and you can ask Gary whatever you want. Take care, folks. We'll see you tomorrow on the show. Take care. Bye-bye.